All right, so buckle up. We're going deep today, like really deep.
Deeper than usual.
Oh yeah, way deeper. We're diving into a fictional world this time.
Ooh, fictional. I like it. What kind of world are we talking?
Well, it all starts with this book, The Reckoning, July 4, 2030.
Okay, 2030, so future stuff. Gotcha.
Exactly. And get this, it's looking back at the 2024 election.
Wow, from a 2030 perspective, that's pretty interesting.
Right. It's like a time capsule.
Yeah.
Seeing how someone in the future views that election.
I'm all ears. Tell me more.
Okay, so the author uses a pretty unique framework to analyze the whole political climate.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is it?
They use the Lord's Prayer.
The Lord's Prayer. For a political analysis?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, I know, right? Sounds kind of crazy, but it actually works.
All right, you've got my attention. How does that even work?
Well, the excerpt we're looking at really zeroes in on one specific line. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us.
Forgive us our trespasses. I see where this is going.
The author is basically saying that back in 2024, each side of the political spectrum saw the other as like committing a sin against the country. You know, like they were the ones trespassing.
It was like they couldn't even agree on what America stood for anymore.
Pretty much. And the excerpt even throws in a fictional vote count to really paint the picture.
Oh, what's the count?
Trump gets 76,394,853 votes. Harris is right behind him with 73,685,076.
Whoa, that's close. Like razor thin.
Right. And the excerpt is saying that this super tight race just amplified all the existing tension and division.
I bet. So how does the whole forgiveness thing come into play with a result like that?
Well, that's where it gets interesting, because the author uses some strong language to describe how each side viewed the other.
Strong language, huh? Like what?
We're talking nuts, misguided deplorables, elitist snobs, even fascists.
Oof, that's harsh. It really does make you think about how divided things were and how we label each other. Like, are those labels fair? Are we really that different?
And that's a big part of what makes this deep dive so fascinating. Like, we're forced to confront our own biases. Have you ever trespassed against someone with different political views?
It's definitely a tough question to ask ourselves. I mean, have we really tried to understand where they're coming from, or have we just written them off?
Exactly. And the excerpt doesn't stop there. It throws in a couple of political cartoons to drive the point home even further.
Oh, cartoons. Now that's interesting. Tell me about them.
So the first one's pretty classic. You've got your donkey representing the Democrats.
Right, right.
And the elephant for the Republicans, obviously. But instead of like having a debate or something, they're just screaming insults at each other.
Ah, I see. Total lack of respect, just dismissing the other side completely.
Yeah, it's a pretty bleak picture. The artist is clearly trying to show how entrenched everyone was in their own echo chambers.
Not listening to understand, just waiting to yell back.
Right, and then there's the second cartoon. This one's even more intense.
Okay, I'm curious now. What is it?
It shows all these voters, but they're all depicted as, get this, garbage cans.
Wow, garbage cans. That's pretty provocative.
It definitely makes you think, right?
Yeah, what's the message there? Is the artist saying all voters are trash? Or is it more about how we judge and categorize people based on their political beliefs?
I think that's the genius of it.
Right.
It's open to interpretation. It forces us to examine our own assumptions. Are we guilty of doing the same thing?
Dehumanizing people who disagree with us. Yeah, that's something we all need to think about.
It's a powerful image, for sure. But then the excerpt throws us a curveball. We get a letter to the editor of the Wall Street Journal.
A letter. Okay, what's in the letter?
It's from this person who considers themselves a centrist voter.
Interesting. What are they saying?
Well, they're talking about wanting secure borders, for one.
Makes sense. What else?
Less inflation.
Okay, yeah, that's a common concern.
Less crime, too.
Right, right.
And they're also not a big fan of what they call divisive identity politics.
Interesting.
And I think what's so fascinating about this letter is that those priorities could resonate with people on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, you're right. It kind of suggests that maybe there is some common ground, even if it doesn't always feel that way.
It's a reminder that we might have more in common than we realize.
For sure. Shared goals, shared values.
And ultimately, it all comes back to that line from the Lord's Prayer. Forgive and move on. Did we do that? That's the question the excerpt leaves us with.
Wow. Forgive and move on. It's simple, but it's such a powerful question, especially in this context.
Did that fictional America of 2024 manage to forgive and move on? And how about us? Can we do that today?
I think that's a question everyone needs to answer for themselves. This excerpt really makes you think about the role of forgiveness and understanding in our political discourse.
Absolutely. It challenges us to consider how we can bridge these divides and build a better future.
And maybe, just maybe, forgiveness is the key.
Well said. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into a fictional future that feels all too real.
Anytime. Always a pleasure to explore these thought-provoking topics.